Hey everybody, today I'm going to be doing a video a little bit different than usual. I don't do many tribute videos on here, but I don't know, I felt like I absolutely had to do this one for David Lynch, who passed away yesterday, January 16th, 2025. I apologize for my appearance because my eyes are a little bit swollen because I cried a lot yesterday, I won't lie. Even though this is something that I knew was probably going to happen soon based on his health issues, you know, it still hits you pretty hard. It is hard to know where to begin with Lynch. I feel kind of overwhelmed by all of the different things that I could talk about. But honestly, I just kind of want to be casual about it and just try and get through it as composed as possible. This channel owes everything to David Lynch, and I owe everything to David Lynch, I feel like, as a person, as an artist. He's one of those people, and I think about this all the time. You know, when we think about great artists that live within our lifetimes, you might look at your parents and think, wow, I can't believe this person was alive in your time, or like you got to experience this art firsthand. That is how I feel about David Lynch, because I think fundamentally he was one of the most important American filmmakers, not just of his generation, not just of, you know, my time, I mean of all time. You know, the word Lynchian, it exists for a reason. Yes, obviously people were very drawn to his perspective, his style, his aesthetic, as strong and bold as it was. I understand it's hard to get beyond that, but for me there was something so much more powerful at the root of it all that endured emotionally more than anything else. David used to talk a lot about consciousness and you know, the nature of ideas, where they come from, and he would talk about how we more catch the ideas, we don't create them, almost like fish in a river, we're catching them, and that the chef doesn't take credit for making the fish, they take credit for preparing it. And I love that perspective because I think it perfectly embodies what Lynch is about, at least creatively, the way that he perceives the world around him, to the extent where I felt like he didn't need to use his expression and his art to explore his own, you know, creative purpose, his own existentialism for very long. He could chip away at curiosities far beyond himself. It's like the awareness was already there. He just kind of had to mold it in the way that he wanted to, with honest intention. And of course, you know, I'm sure that David navigated some devastating aspects of life like we all do eventually, but he used those experiences in his art. He never had to reveal them. He kept so much of himself a mystery as an artist, and, you know, notoriously he would never talk about what a movie meant or, you know, his intention here or there, and so appropriate for an artist. And I wish more artists today would learn from that, because you know, it's for us, ultimately. But he had a positivity at his core. Yes, he was relentlessly dark in certain ways, but again, I look at all of that almost like it's out of the darkness. It's like he's carving something that is going to lead us to the light. It is clear in his work that he's a person that is full of hope, and he embraces beauty. He's one of the least cynical filmmakers that I can think of. And it's just so rare, I think, to find an artist that lacks cynicism, especially these days. He stayed true to that gimmick, that persona, and people absolutely adored it. So it's like he was vague yet positive. He never got too specific, and he never got too political or anything like that. I think when people would ask him about specific things, events, disasters in the world, he would often just say things like, I believe that love will prevail, and I believe that people are kind. This is why he's able to transcend so many genres, why he was able to make a movie like The Straight Story compared to something like Blue Velvet. The Straight Story, A Straight Story, is, I think, the first film that I ever saw from Lynch, but it makes sense because it would have been maybe the only one I could have seen because I was maybe 10 years old or something. But yeah, I mean, it's the simplicity to that film and the honesty, and there's a gentility in the emotion. I think people at the time were like, what is this? I can't believe you're making a movie like this. This doesn't seem like you. But to me, it is quintessential Lynch, but maybe more like a personal Lynch, a man that maybe is wanting to calm himself, center himself, meditate in the midst of a very painful, absurd, chaotic world. And he seemed to handle himself so beautifully because of that. He could find joy in the most simple things, like light. When he talked about Los Angeles and why he loved living there, he would talk about the light. Destruction and getting flustered by the art is something that unfortunately happens so often, and you tend to hear that destruction enhances art, but I truly believe that Lynch believed in the opposite. He believed in art as being a vessel and a playground. And when we say that there will never be another career like David Lynch's again, we mean it, because a career like it had never existed before it. It was just the way he was able to cross over so many worlds successfully. He went from a racerhead to proving that he could make these heavy hitters, these Academy Award nominated movies like The Elephant Man. And then obviously he tries to make a movie like Dune, which was one of the most massive commercial failures of the time. It broke his heart. And, even so, on this channel, people know I have defended that movie to the end. I love it, despite how flawed it is. It's weird and disturbing, and it has all of this personality that I felt was lacking in these new ones. Again, even if it is butchered. But look what happened out of that. It's like we talk about auteur movie directors or just creatives in general, and then like the business aspects of art, and that can make things quite difficult. And obviously a director in Hollywood is constantly wanting to fight for control, fight for that final cut. And of course, Lynch made that choice after that movie. I'm not going to give up that control. I refuse to make a movie unless I have that final cut. So I'm sure that was a rough period, thinking it's like, what do I do next? Where do I belong? Who takes me seriously at this point? Have to make some sacrifices naturally. But again, look what happened. Out of that comes Blue Velvet. The more he was true to his career, it felt like the more people loved him, even with limited resources. He makes a television show like Twin Peaks, which is considered one of the greatest of all time. And I truly believe if it weren't for shows like that, shows like The Sopranos and Breaking Bad wouldn't exist. For a show, particularly at that time, to be that cinematic, that ambitious, I think it's just amazing. I admit I'm also a creative person myself. A lot of you already know that. I'm the type of person that is always trying to express themselves through all kinds of different mediums. But I admit one of my deep flaws as a person is I'm also quite destructive in that. And like I've said many times before on this channel, there is a destruction to art that is rarely discussed. Often you have to explore the pain in order to be released by it, but I often get caught in the webs of the pain, and I can forget about the outside. But there's something to David Lynch and the way that he talks about his creative process that always felt comforting to me, and almost like he was nurturing a creative muscle more than anything. I admit I still struggle in that area at times, and I probably always will, but if there's anyone who ever made me feel like it was possible to be joyful and be an artist and bring that into other people's lives in a good way, it was David Lynch. And when he died again, I wasn't surprised, but it just hit me right in the gut, right in the soul, because for me, again, he's the foundation of my adult life, my creative life. And I can't say that about many other artists, many other directors in the world. There were some people who were just born to make an impact, that have a special talent and a perspective that the world just had to see, and I really think that he is one of them. Obviously, look at pop culture now. Everything is inspired by David Lynch, and it's annoying. It's a lot like all of the directors that are constantly, copying Stanley Kubrick as an example, and it's like, you wish that some of these people would find their own voices, their own originality, but at the same time, it's like, some people are just that indelible. And I don't know what Lynch felt about himself, about his legacy. He did not strike me as somebody who cared about it in that way. But I hope that he had at least a small idea of the kind of impact that he did have on the world, on people like myself. Again, he just had this unbridled sense of, let's just try it. Let's just do it. And he didn't seem like somebody that was beholden to, again, one particular medium. It's like when he wanted to do music, he did music. When he wanted to, make sculptures, he made sculptures. He was after the undercurrent that is guiding all of us. It mattered more to him than any of the surface stuff. So many people are extracting more of the surface stuff from his movies, but I really think it's the rest that's going to endure. This is a massive, profound loss for film lovers, art lovers, for, the film industry. So, thank you, David, for all that you've done for me, for all of us. I'm such a baby for this video, but it feels, I'm going to give myself a pass on this one because Yeah, it's a big one. But thank you guys so much for watching. That is the video. I'm going to plug my website. As always, it is deepfocuslens.com. I'm an artist. I do commission portraits, and I sell prints of my work. If that is something that you're interested in, you can always go to the website below. And if you're interested in a commission or a print, you can always email me. My email is in the description box below as well. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to my patrons who are great. Guys, thank you so much for your support. Welcome to all the new members. If you are interested in supporting, the link for that is below, as well as the rest of my social media information. You can watch more videos here, and you can subscribe if you'd like. Catch you next time.